without further ado, let's just dive straight in. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that digital technology is changing the game. I think it's fair to say it's disrupting most industries. You've got Uber taking over the world of taxis. You've got Pokemon Go making sure we don't look where we're going when we're walking down the street. But I also want to talk to you guys today about how it's changing the game in terms of marketing and sales. So let's frame this. First and foremost, a point that I really want to drive home for you guys is that your website is an investment. It's a lead generation machine and should be a source of competitive advantage. Now, I speak to a lot of businesses, and what I see probably too often is that people see their website as a cost rather than an investment. You know, they start their business, they think, well, I have to have a website, and then they tick that box and they don't look at it again for another few years. Now, if your website isn't bringing you leads and it isn't bringing you business, then it's not doing its job. You really should see your website as an investment because it should be bringing you regular business. And guess what, guys? If you do it really, really well, it can become a source of competitive advantage in your industry. Furthermore, it's safe to say that digital inbound sales is way more efficient than traditional outbound sales. So, to give you an example, let's say you had 10 salespeople and potentially they could reach, I don't know, a couple of thousand people in a week. Well, you know, an effective website can reach potentially millions of people in a fraction of that time. So it's a much more effective method of reaching a large audience quickly. Following on from that, it's also going to let your sales staff spend less time hunting for new business and more time just closing it, which is awesome because the more time you spend closing business, the more money you're making. So rather than doing the outbound work, you know, maybe you're doing cold calling and that sort of thing, it's much more effective, and trust me, your salespeople will be much happier if you've got regular qualified leads coming through your website and all they've got to do is close the business and make you money. Following on from that, it's also going to allow your marketing and sales teams to collaborate much, much more effectively than they ever have before. I think traditionally, sometimes these two functions, they don't always play so nicely together. My perception of the reason for that is largely because, you know, your marketing guys might have some great ideas, but maybe your sales guys don't quite agree with that direction. And the problem is that everyone's basing their opinion on, well, just that, subjective opinion. The great thing about digital technology is that absolutely everything is measurable in the digital world. So what it can do is, when everyone's looking at factual data, it means we can all pull in the same direction, we can make informed decisions, and we can win more business. So it all sounds really great, right? And it begs the question, okay, so how am I going to go about turning my website into a turbocharged lead generation machine? Well, unfortunately, guys, the bad news is that there is no one-size-fits-all answer to this question. There's no magic wand, and there isn't a simple 10-step program that works for absolutely every business. The reason for that is because of the amount of options available to you. You might, to drive traffic through your website, embark on some SEO work, basically improving your rankings on Google when people search for products or services related to your business. You might take a similar tack, but slightly different, and follow a pay-per-click advertising campaign, where essentially you pay to get to the top of Google or to have ads on other people's websites. You might embark on some social media marketing strategies to drive business and brand awareness. Perhaps email marketing's in the mix as well. And I'm sure everyone has heard a lot recently about content marketing and how it can work wonders for your business. And finally, there's also a thing called conversion rate optimization. It sounds kind of scientific, but really, guys, all that means is if you're driving, let's say, 1 million hits to your website this year, conversion rate optimization is interested in how much of that traffic you convert into actual business. And if you're getting loads of traffic but you're not getting much business, then conversion rate optimization is what you need to be looking at. So there's so much choice out there, guys, that it's hard to know where to start, what to look at first. But the good news is that you can design a strategy and pick and choose little elements that means you're going to have a good fit for your business. And the way that we're going to be able to do this is, first and foremost, the most important thing you need to do, and the main point of this webinar, is to allow you to get a holistic view of how all of these separate components actually fit together. So we know that SEO, pay-per-click, all of these different things can be amazing tools for driving traffic and business to your website. You know, you speak to an SEO expert, he's going to tell you that SEO is going to revolutionize your business. Talk to a content marketing guru, he's going to tell you create great content and the business will follow. Social media experts, again, they're going to talk all about how social media is going to benefit your business. But I thought long and hard about how to give you the most useful information today, guys, and it struck me that what very few people talk to you about is actually how these things are all linked. So what you're doing with your SEO should inform what you're doing with your pay-per-click and vice versa. And when you're doing content marketing, SEO and pay-per-click should all be informing each other. Your social media as well. You know, most people see this as a standalone thing, but if you're creating great content, you want to push it around social media. But also don't forget that social media does impact your SEO strategies as well. And then you've got email marketing in the mix. You know, if you're creating great content, you absolutely should be pumping it out via email marketing. And finally, when you get a lot of traffic, you want to see how much of it you're actually converting. And if you're not converting it that much, maybe that feeds back into the machine and allows you to change things up. So you start to see that actually once you get a bigger picture, you can make a better strategy and more informed decisions. And also, your salespeople can add a huge amount of value to this marketing machine that you're building. So today, guys, what I want you to take away from this is I'm going to touch on each of these sections very lightly, but I'm more going to focus on how they interact with each other, because trust me, when you get your head around that, you'll be able to put a really effective strategy together and you'll be able to really drive some business to your website. So let's dive in. So we'll start off with search engine optimization. Now, this is a science in its own right, so we're not going to spend too long explaining it, but for those new to it, let's look at what it is. Basically, search engine optimization deals with where your website appears in the search rankings, and it all starts with what the person types into the search bar. So in this instance, let's say someone searched for app development Dundee. That's something we want to rank for. You'll see that we're here third on the list, behind the person who's come first, and you've got an advert there at the top as well, which is actually pay-per-click. What's really important, guys, is that the results will change depending on what the person's searching for. So if we type in App Developers Aberdeen, again, you can see we're in second place there, but you can see that we've got different companies around us. And if we change it up again, maybe something more specific, so mobile app developers in Dundee, you'll see we come top of that search and actually above a competitor that was previously above us for a different term, and just behind someone who's paid to be above us through pay-per-click. So basically, search engine optimization is all about getting you ranking well in Google when people are searching for products or services that you want to sell. Which begs the question, okay, how do I rank well on search engines? Well, this is an age-old question and it doesn't have a simple answer, unfortunately. The best thing I like to do to get people to get their heads around this is to think, answer this question. Let's suppose you are the CEO of Google. How are you going to define and provide a good service to your customers? Well, there's actually quite a simple answer to this, which is if you enable your customers as Google to find relevant, trustworthy, and high-quality content quickly, then you're providing them a good service. Basically, if you've got a bunch of searchers in your Google, your job is to serve them the most relevant information you can find. You know, if someone's searching for something, I don't know, maybe they want to know how to train up their new dog. If Google serves a load of results that's talking about cats, they're not going to be overly impressed. So that's Google's job. And once you understand what Google's trying to achieve, you can figure out how you can fit into it. So Google's job then, it sounds quite simple, right? Well, not really. Because back in 1991, there was one web page. So we all know who was top of the search in 1991. But in 2016, we've got over 1 billion web pages. So Google has a monumental task figuring out what all of these web pages are about and figuring out which is the best content to rank well in its search engine results. Now, as you can guess, a person isn't doing this. They have a bot that will crawl all the websites and an algorithm that decides basically where people rank. Now, this secret algorithm actually has over 200 individual ranking factors that determine your position on search engine results pages. So we clearly don't have time to go over all 200 today, but what I can do is explain to you that typically they fit into two different sections: your on-page factors and your off-page factors. So on-page factors for your website is things like content and keywords. So if you want to be found, I don't know, for let's say car insurance, then you want to make sure that your website's talking about car insurance. So the thing that someone types into the search bar matches what your website's talking about. You also want to think about things like load time. You know, Google does know if your website takes 10 minutes to load a page. And guess what? That's not good for their customers, so they're not going to rank you well. Whereas if you've got a really slick and efficient website, Google sees that as a good thing and they'll push you up their search engine results. Things like mobile responsiveness, guys, this is so important. 60% or more than 60% of searches now begin on a mobile device. So Google has a huge incentive there for ranking mobile responsive websites better. Moving on from that, mobile friendliness is another thing. You might have seen, as I have, sometimes you go to a website on your mobile phone and actually it does resize, but the text is really small, the buttons are really fiddly, and it doesn't quite work that well. Well, guess what? Google knows that as well, and they're not gonna rank you well if your website's not mobile friendly. And finally, you've got things like errors, broken links, all this sort of stuff. Basically, if your website is not in a good shape, Google will know this and they'll stop you ranking well. Now, there's loads more factors on page, but there's only so much we can cover. So let's look at the other side, the off-page factors. So this is going to be things like backlinks. Now, backlinks is huge. Basically, if you build a website and you put it on the internet and no one's linking to it, that's a good sign to Google that maybe not that many people are interested in what you're talking about, or maybe you're a relatively new business. So what they want to do is basically look to see who's linking to your website so they can figure out if you're a trustworthy resource. If you have a good website, people will link to you, and that's a good sign to Google that you're doing the right things. Now, what's really important about backlinks is its quality over quantity. Now, you could run away after this presentation and decide, okay, I'm just going to go and post a link to my website in loads of comment sections on different websites. Yes, it will build you backlinks, but Google's not daft. They know that this isn't a good quality backlink, and maybe you're trying to game the system a little bit. Now, if you compare that to a backlink from, say, BBC, the BBC website, maybe they run an article about your business. To Google, that's huge. They know who the BBC are. It's a huge trusted online resource, and the kudos that you get from that will push you up the search rankings. So make sure quality always trumps quantity when it comes to backlinking. Furthermore, link velocity. You've got to pay attention to this. Basically, what this means is how quickly you build backlinks to your website. If you put up a new website tomorrow, and by the end of the week you have 10,000 backlinks, two things are going to happen. First and foremost, you will end up top of the rankings, but it'll last about a week, and then Google will realize that you've kind of cheated the system, and guess what? They'll penalize you, and I don't want to be on the end of a Google penalty because it's very hard to get back from there. So be careful. Don't try and trick Google. They're smarter than you think, and it's not going to work out well. Furthermore, you've got things like social interaction and your wider presence. Basically, if you've got Facebook profiles, Twitter profiles, LinkedIn, Google+, all of this, you need to be linking these things into your website and telling Google that these are all part of your assets. You own them all. And do you know what, guys? If people are liking your content, sharing your content, interacting with you, basically, that can have really great results on your search engine rankings, because it tells Google people are interested in this, they're really into it. So I can rank it well because I'm confident people are interested. So we've gone really light on search engine optimization, but hopefully you've got a good idea of what it is. And you know what? If you want to see how well you're doing, use this awesome free tool. Head on over after this webinar to woorank.com. It's completely free. It'll take you about 5 minutes. Go and type in your web address, and they're going to give you a free report that's really handy that'll tell you the things you're doing well, the things you're doing not so well, and you can make some really simple changes that will help you rank better. So definitely check that out. It's an awesome tool. Okay, so let's look at SEO's little brother, basically, Payperclick. So what is it? Well, it's a method used to pay for traffic to your site rather than earning traffic organically through SEO. So basically, we'll look at one of the searches we've already looked at. What you can see here is that there's an advert at the top. Basically, that person has just paid for, when someone types that search term in, they want to appear at the top of the search. So if you were to click that link, that company will get charged, but you'll end up on their website and they've basically paid for that traffic. There's other elements of pay-per-click. You can also pay for banner ads and all that other sort of stuff. So this is going to beg the question, right? Which one is for me? Well, guys, in the interest of trying to give you this holistic view that I'm trying to do, what you need to understand is that it's not really a binary choice, right? They work really well together, but they're different. So SEO, you should really see as a long-term investment for your company. If you're in a competitive industry like car insurance, for example, it's going to be very difficult to get to page 1 in under 12 months of SEO work, right? Once you get to page 1, it's going to be hugely lucrative, but you know, once you're trying to get there, it can take a little bit of time. So you want to see that as a long-term investment. But look, once you get to page 1, it really protects your brand position. It's such a formidable position to have. It'll be guaranteeing that you're getting hits on your website and making money, and it's quite hard for people to topple you off of that top spot. It also allows you to become a known authority. Basically, anyone searching for something to do with your industry is going to see that you know, you're always appearing in the searches. Well, guess what? That's huge for your brand. And then it becomes a sort of competitive advantage. Basically, your company will be worth more if you can show that you're on the page 1 of Google, you're getting constant results, constant traffic and business, and it's going to be really hard for your competitors to keep up with you. And what this all adds up to is that it will, SEO compared to pay-per-click, will actually offer you better return on investment, but in the longer term. So you might work tirelessly for 6 months to get on page 1, you know, and the return for that 6 months will be low. But once you get there, it's actually not too much work to maintain that position. So once you do get to this position you need to be in, it can actually be a really good earner for you, and you won't have to spend too much to stay top of the pack. Compare this then to PPC, right? This is a shorter term investment. You could put out an advert on Google tomorrow, pay for that, and it's going to appear top of the search, and you can start getting some hits and some traffic on day 1. Great. It's also more flexible. So, you know, you run an ad campaign and, do you know what, it's not really working that well? Well, you can just turn it off and try something else. You know, it's really flexible. And what that means, and what's really useful, is guess what, guys? You can now explore niches really safely. Let's say you have a successful product in a certain market and you're thinking, do you know what? Maybe I could sell a lot of these products in a different market. Well, go and try out some pay-per-click. Put some adverts out in that market and see what sort of response you get. Basically, it's great for experimentation. You can mix up your adverts, the keywords, the markets you're targeting, run these experiments and see what's going to work relatively cost effectively. You know, throw a few £100 into a campaign and just see what sticks. And basically what this means is that it'll offer much better return on investment in the short term. Basically, you're paying per click, so you're paying for traffic directly. So, you know, if you're directing this traffic to your website, you've got instant results there. The problem is it's better ROI in the short term because don't forget, you always have to pay for that traffic, right? So what you need to be thinking is actually, how do these things link together? What I would do is, if I wanted to sell a new product or explore a new market, I'd run some pay-per-click campaigns because it's fast, It's cost effective and it's flexible. But if I find I'm having huge success, I'm not going to want to pay for that traffic for the rest of time. I'm going to then inform my SEO strategy to think, well, how can I rank organically for those kind of keywords so that I can get this traffic for free, essentially. So you can see that they both serve very different roles and they both complement each other. So we're starting to build this holistic view now, which is great. So on to the next one, social media marketing. Now, guys, there's an awful lot of choice out there and it's really hard to find out which one is right for your business, okay? So today, the point of today's webinar, I'm not going to go into each one of these, explain which is best for your business. There's a lot of social media experts out there, but guys, trust me on this, there's so many blog articles that go through all of these platforms in great depth that honestly, you could become an expert in any one of these platforms in a couple of hours. It's really straightforward stuff. So I would implore you to go out, explore the ones that you think are going to work for your business and do that research. It'll really benefit you. But what I want to move on to is actually how does this fit into the bigger picture, okay? So I hear an awful lot of people say things like this. Social media marketing doesn't work or isn't suited to my business. Well, I'm going to make quite a bold claim here and say that this statement is 100% false. I know that's a bit full on, and there might be a business out there I don't know about yet that really isn't suited to social media. But I think the reason people think that is because maybe they put some posts out on social media, it doesn't really directly translate to any sales or anything, so they think, oh, it's not valuable, I don't see the value in this. But guys, we're getting this holistic view today, so what I want to show you is actually it really helps your SEO. So let's not forget that backlinks, as we've discussed, affect your search engine rankings. So if you create a great post and people start sharing it and that post has backlinks to your website, guess what? These guys are creating backlinks for you, and backlinks affect your search engine rankings. Furthermore, let's not forget as well that sometimes when you do a search in Google, you might see social media profiles appear as the actual results. So this argument that maybe social media marketing and SEO don't fit together, I think is maybe not true. So make sure you've got social media profiles and make sure you're promoting them. Let's not forget either that social media platforms, they're search engines in their own right. So I'll tell you what I do when I'm shopping for a new product. Of course, I will use Google and the search engines, but I will also float around Facebook, float around Twitter, do some searches on there to see if I can find anything that maybe I couldn't find on Google. So it seems mad to me to not want to be a part of that, to not want to have any visibility there. And also, this one is the crucial one for me, right? There's a little bit of contention in the industry about how much social media does impact SEO. But I'll tell you one thing, right? Sometimes Google's going to change up their algorithm. They do it regularly. And in the next change, if they decide all of a sudden that your social media is going to have a bigger impact on SEO results, I'd rather be in a position where I've already got my profiles and I'm already creating content on there than think, oh God, I've slipped hugely down the rankings, all that hard work I did on SEO is for nothing, and now I've got to start from scratch and build my social media profile. That seems too risky to me, so I would definitely consider social media marketing. And let's not forget either, I know I'm talking mainly about Google today. I think there's no prizes for guessing my favorite search engine, but they aren't the only game in town. And while Google have come and said, well, social media and SEO, yeah, they're kind of linked, but not too much, we do know that places like Bing do actually place more emphasis on social media. So don't forget, Google's not the only game in town, and really, guys, you need to be on social media because whilst you might not see direct sales, it plays into a much bigger picture here. Okay, so we'll keep on trucking along and we'll have a quick look at email marketing. Right? If you're not doing email marketing, then huge opportunities lie ahead. I kid you not, right? It is so cost effective and so easy to do that you absolutely should do email marketing. So let me tell you some compelling reasons why email marketing should be a top priority for your business. First of all, penetration. Okay, so 95% of people check their email every day and probably several times a day, and guess what? No one's quitting email anytime soon either. You know, you hear people say, oh, I'm going to give up on Twitter or Facebook, they're kind of bugging me. Well, no one's saying that about email. So it's got great penetration, and that just simply cannot be ignored. Furthermore, it's got better reach than social media channels. Now, I'm sure some people are thinking, how could that be possible? Well, it's really all about, imagine you had 1,000 followers on Twitter, right? And you had 1,000 people on your email marketing list. When you send out an email to 1,000 people, they all receive it. When you put out a post on social media, you may have 1,000 followers, but guess what? They're not all going to see it. So your reach per audience is much better on email marketing. Furthermore, it's got a way better lifespan. So I think the lifetime for a tweet now is something like 10 to 16 minutes. Basically, you put a tweet out at 10 a.m. By 10:15, it's long forgotten because it's been washed away by a sea of fresh content from other tweets. The email, on the other hand, is sitting in someone's inbox until they do something with it, right? So it's got a much better lifespan, and it requires them to actually do something, which is great. Furthermore, it's so much better for one-to-one engagement, okay? So on social media, you're kind of posting into a big group, right? So you can't be that personal. With emails, you can set up targeted campaigns. You know, I'm sure you've all seen those emails that say, like, Dear Richard or Dear John, you know. They really personalize it up. They say things like, oh, you've bought this product. Maybe you want to buy this one too. So, you know, it's way more engaging because it's way more personal. And guess what? You probably heard this magic rule of social media, basically don't sell. If I start posting on Twitter all day saying, Zudu make the best websites in the world, everyone's going to yawn and stop following me because they're going to think, well, Rick, we know you're trying to sell websites, so of course you're going to say that. It's not really adding anything interesting to the conversation, and it's a little bit narcissistic as well. But you know what, guys? In your email marketing, you can be way more direct. Going back again, you know, you get promotional offers, you get 2-for-1s, you get people saying you bought this product, maybe you like this product. You can be more aggressive and more salesy in email marketing. It's more accepted as that's the way things are done. So go out there and start selling via email because you will see results. And guess what, guys? It's so cost effective and it's so easy to use, right? Sending an email costs absolutely nothing. So look, if you haven't started email marketing yet, head on over to MailChimp, right? It's so easy to use that I promise you, if you leave this webinar today and you decide, right, by this time next week, I'm going to set up an email marketing campaign through MailChimp, you will absolutely be able to achieve that. You can start putting out really gorgeous looking emails with their templates and start winning business. And you know what? If you haven't started this, and because of this webinar, you go and check it out and you run a campaign and you start selling stuff, get in touch with me. I'd love to hear about it. That'd be such a great story. So let's move on to content marketing. I love talking about content marketing. Everyone's talking about it, but what on earth is it? Well, guys, content marketing, yeah, it's quite a funny one, right? It's considered the latest big buzz thing, right? Content marketing will be the answer to all your prayers. It's going to drive so much business. But the thing is, what nobody really talks about is you're already doing it, right? If you've done any form of marketing, if you've written a tweet, if you've written a blog post, if you've even put up a billboard on the street, you know, it doesn't have to be digital. If you've done any kind of advertising or marketing, you've been creating content. All of that stuff is content. So I really like this quote, right, from a guy, Ian Lurie, who's the CEO of Portent. And he says, look, content isn't stuff we write to rank higher or infographics or long-form articles. Content is anything that communicates a message to the audience. Anything, right? So basically, content marketing in a nutshell is using your content, any content whatsoever, to meet a marketing goal for your organization. So, okay, so it's not this big new age thing that's going to completely revolutionize everything. I think it's mainly come to the fore because people are starting to understand it's actually the quality of the content that counts and the type of content and how you use the content. But it's not something that's going to be completely new to your business, and you shouldn't be put off getting involved. The thing with content marketing is it kind of fits into almost everything we've already spoken about today. You know, but most businesses, when they start content marketing, they actually fail to see any real return on investment. And there's a good reason for this, guys. And this is really getting to the crux of the point I'm trying to get across today, which is most people get really bad advice. And this is the bad advice that they get from quote-unquote content marketing gurus, okay? The content marketer will tell you, publish great content regularly, and your audience growth, backlinks, and rankings will take care of themselves. Sounds awesome, right? But here at Zoodoo, what we call that method is the publish and pray approach, right? Basically, you think, right, I've written a bit of content, I've put it out on the internet, fingers crossed this all works out and everyone's going to come and see my website and buy something, right? Well, if only it were that simple. If you just put up a blog post and you're not thinking about SEO, then it's not going to appear in the rankings. You know, if you're not using things like Payperclick to promote it and drive traffic to it, it's not going to have any impact. If you're not promoting it around social media, again, it's not going to have any real impact. And do you know what? If you're creating content, why wouldn't you fire it out to everyone on your email subscriber list? So don't publish and pray, because I see so many people creating amazing content and then getting really frustrated because they're not seeing any return, and then they give up too early. Basically, if you create great content, don't use the publish and pray approach. Promote it, put it out there, put it in front of people, and you will see the results. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff today, and I'm trying to give you this picture about how everything's connected. And so you've taken this on board and you've thought, great, so I'm driving loads of traffic now. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that conversion rate optimization, something that not a lot of people talk about, really is the last piece of the puzzle. You might find yourself in this position, right? You've done your keyword and market research and you know what your audience is looking for. You've created some amazing content to address what these people are looking for, and it matches what they're searching for and all of this great stuff, right? And then the next thing, you didn't publish and pray. You're promoting the content on various channels, you're getting loads of hits, awesome, and your website traffic is up 10,000%. Unbelievable, right? This is awesome. Oh dear, but I'm not getting any more inquiries, sales, or sign-ups to my blog, or whatever it is you wanted that traffic to do. What you need to do to solve this really is look at conversion rate optimization. Now, there's loads of crazy cool tricks you can do. Let's say, for example, a piece of your content has an option to buy something at the end. Mixing things up and trying different things, like maybe changing the layout of that form, could increase conversion rates. It could be putting calls to action higher on the page, could increase your conversion rates. And we can do some really clever techie things like A/B testing, right? Where to say you had 1,000 visitors, I'll let 500 see one version of the web page, and I'll let the other 500 see another version of the web page, and then I'll see which performs best, and then run with that and fit that in. So, you know, getting traffic is only part of the problem. Converting the traffic is also key, and that's essentially how well your website sells. So if you really want to see ROI at the end of all of this, guys, you need to be thinking about conversion rate optimization. So we've touched on all of these things individually, and I'm going to wrap it up now and say, look, we should understand now that, you know, all of these things are going to drive traffic to your website, but your SEO strategy and your pay-per-click strategy should be informing each other. You absolutely should be creating great content, but don't forget, your great content should have the keywords in it that you discovered when you were doing your SEO work to make sure that it actually appears for what your customers are searching for. If you're creating content without thinking about SEO, you're absolutely missing a trick. And if you want to work with a content marketing expert, make sure they know all about SEO. Furthermore, creating great content, absolutely pump it out on social media. And furthermore, having a presence on social media is going to benefit your SEO, so it absolutely makes sense for your business. And do you know what? Again, if you're creating great content, it's so easy to do, guys. Make sure you're pumping it out on email marketing. And once you've used all of these tactics to get that juicy traffic to your website, you want to look at conversion rate optimization and make sure you're converting as much of it as you possibly can. And you know what, guys? If you're not converting that much of it, maybe go back to your SEO and think, Well, I'm getting a lot of traffic, but is it the right traffic? Are these people actually interested in buying something? I'll give you an example. I could maybe drive a load of traffic to the Zudu website all about web design, but maybe it's just students looking to learn about web design rather than buy a website, and maybe that explains why I'm not getting any sales. Maybe I should target more specific terms like web development company Scotland and things like that. And let's not forget your salespeople. The people who nail this and do this really spectacularly well are the guys that get their salespeople involved. Your salespeople are talking to your customers, they know the type of language they're using, they know the kind of problems that need solved, and all of that should be feeding into this marketing machine. And guys, if you get this puzzle right and you find the bits and pieces you need for your business, trust me, you should be making a killing, right? Driving traffic, leads coming through the website, all your salespeople have got to do, they're having a great time, they've just got to close really warm leads. Sounds perfect, right? So I'd really think about this holistic view, make a strategy, and then act on it. So guys, hopefully you found that really interesting, and it's been a really nice introduction to a sales seminar that we're actually holding at Abertay University in Dundee on the 21st of September, 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm going to be there, and also we've got Chris Mark, Glenn Wadelko, and Dawn Walton. These guys are all awesome. I've read their work before, I've seen them perform before, and they are really knowledgeable, and you'll learn an awful lot if you attend. Follow the link below, and you can register, and hopefully we'll see you there. And guys, we made it. So we've covered an awful lot today, but thanks so much for your time. I was going to take questions. I think David mentioned that perhaps we can't take questions today. But do you know what? Get in touch with me through the Zudu website if you want to ask anything. I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you. So guys, yeah, thanks for attending, and thanks for listening to the webinar, and hopefully I'll see you in Dundee on the 21st of September. Cheers, guys.